आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
On the show tonight, the question nobody is asking. Why is there no FIR in a case the whole country is talking about? 8:20 p.m. tonight, another day, another reality check. The Shaheen 3 Pakistani missile fails, proves to be a dud. 8:40 p.m. tonight, all-out face-off between the BJP and the Samajwadi Party after Akhilesh does a political meeting inside a mosque. And at 9 p.m. tonight, I'll tell you why I feel Dhankar was a Congress party mole. Ladies and gentlemen, on Republic, we ask the questions that nobody asks us. That's why you like us. We ask those questions because we know why the corporate media won't ask those questions. They don't have the guts and they do not have the intention. They don't want to upset the apple cart, you see, ladies and gentlemen. They are status quoists by nature. Left to the corporate media, they would play a game of regression and take the country back. That's why nobody in the corporate media is asking one question. The biggest and most high-profile case of corruption in this country, even bigger in terms of impact than National Herald, for which Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi should have been in jail by now. Even bigger than that is this Cashgate, when there were crores and crores and crores of rupees, wads of currency, 15 feet high, found in their rawest form, half burnt, half unburnt, inside an antechamber of a sitting, ladies and gentlemen, High Court judge's residence. What more proof do you need? You would imagine that this case would be big. It is big. You would imagine the media would make a big deal of it. We did. You would imagine that the Supreme Court would take a position on it with a great deal of cajoling. They did. You would imagine, ladies and gentlemen, that maybe Parliament would shake because of it. It has. But we would not imagine that the circumstances would be so intense and so controversial that even Jagdeep Dhankar, the Vice President of India, caught in the middle of this political melee, taking sides, would choose to be a Congress party mole and then be forced to quit, which is, I think, what has happened. But in the middle of all this controversy, this massive and gigantic controversy, ladies and gentlemen, when justice is itself on trial, when the system which is built to uphold the law is seen to be shielding its own, the question the nation wants to know tonight is this. And this is the question you should ask. This system, this corrupt and rotten system, has ensured that there is still no FIR in a case the whole country is talking about. A case which has shaken the political firmament, which has shaken the Supreme Court of India, which has exposed the hypocrisy of our criminal justice system, which has led to a near revolt in bar associations across the country. A case where today the Congress and the BJP are in a rat race to take credit to impeach the judge. But is the impeachment of the judge what we want? Or is it the prosecution of the judge which we want? For impeachment, ladies and gentlemen, is only a mask. Impeachment, I'm sorry to say this, is only a preset game of political credit taking. Impeachment is about chest thumping. Impeachment is decorative, is ornamental. And impeachment doesn't mean anything if there is no FIR. And why am I saying it? Because, okay, this man has lost all credibility. He's not going to be a judge. Great. But what happens after that? Does he face the law? Does he face a police complaint? Does he face an FIR? Does he face a charge sheet? Does he face a criminal investigation? And does he go to jail, ladies and gentlemen? Jail. In this country, I was told I would be taken to jail for calling Sonia Gandhi by her real name, which is Antonia de Maino. That was seen to be big enough a case to carry out a prosecution and an investigation against me. But in this case, where there is a 3 Supreme Court judge investigation, which has come to incontrovertible proof against the gentleman, there is no FIR. What does the investigation say? It says the cash was found, I quote unquote. It says the room was in active control of Justice Varma and his family. It says the burnt cash was removed in the wee hours of the 15th of March. It says, and I quote, the misconduct is serious enough to call for his removal. But yet, ladies and gentlemen, yet the nation wants to know why there is no FIR which has been filed 81 days after the submission of the in-house report of the Supreme Court. The nation wants to know what happened to the eyewitnesses and the electronic evidence, including the 67 video we ran on Republic, corroborating the presence and the attempted removal of the cash. And Justice Varma, sitting and watching this tonight, must be saying, why is Arnab even picking this up? I'm almost getting away. And I know, Justice Varma, you think you will get away. You think, but we'll ensure you don't. Because you are going to go among the Supreme Court and challenge whatever is in the report. You might even have the guts to challenge your impeachment. But can you tell me, is it true or not, that 10 witnesses corroborated and observed half-burnt 500 rupee currency notes in your storeroom? When the Chief Justice of India, B.R. Gawai, has recused himself, ladies and gentlemen, no FIR has been filed. The Chief Justice has recused himself. The Chief Justice. And the most difficult question, nobody in the corporate media is going to ask the Supreme Court of India. But let it be remembered that when everybody went silent, Republic spoke. And the question I would like to ask the honorable judges of the Supreme Court, with the greatest of respect to you, I want to ask you, why are you, honorable judges, setting the wrong precedent by prioritizing impeachment over criminal prosecution and an FIR? An ordinary citizen of this country has spent 50 years in jail because of the failure of the criminal justice system and the failure of the judicial system. He has come out after 50 years in jail. His wife has died. His children have died. He went in, ladies and gentlemen, when he was about 50. He's over 100 and he's come out now. What is the story he will tell when he will say that I lost half my life for a false case? But in a case when a judge is caught with his hands in the cookie jar, the whole system gets together to give him an honorable impeachment, but no prosecution. This country will be free and independent only when a judge faces the prospect of going to jail for a case like this. And if, despite what I have said today, the FIR is not filed, then I will go on record tonight and say the people of this country have every right to say they have no faith in the criminal justice system or the administration of justice. Ladies and gentlemen, a quick report, then we debate.
This is how it all began. Videos showing wads of cash burning. Firefighters can be seen clearing the burning shelf, searching bags and looking at burnt stash of cash. In the center of this cash controversy is Justice Varma. The unaccounted cash was recovered from his residence, exposing the biggest scandal so far to hit the judiciary. These videos are evidence that unaccounted cash was found at the home of a sitting High Court judge. Despite his continuous denial, The internal committee report has nailed the judge. The report, headed by former Chief Justice of India, said that the cash was found in a storeroom of Justice Varma's residence. Contrary to his claim, it mentions that access to the storeroom was an active control of Justice Varma and his family. Also, the burnt cash was removed from the storeroom during the wee hours of 15th March. There has been a constant chorus for action against Justice Varma. Jagdeep Dhankar, who announced his shocking resignation on the 21st of July, had time and again sought action against him.
We are confronted with a jarring reality. A judge's residence in Lutyens, Delhi had burnt notes, cash hole. There is no FIR till date.
However, despite such major aftershocks, neither has there been an FIR nor any action. From fire breaking out on the 14th of March, to the panel submitting the in-house report on May 4th, and now Parliament having a full-fledged storm on the matter, it has been 4 months, yet no FIR. Is there an ecosystem that is protecting the judge?
Now, Mahesh Jethmalani, the Chief Justice of India recuses. It's his right. The report is clear on the burnt cash investigation, but somewhere in the middle of it, we've just forgotten the fact that as far as prosecution is concerned, there is no case against Justice Yashwant Varma. There is no case. So he's going to get away scot-free, just lose his chair, but he will never face a criminal or police investigation. Why is that?
But as far as prosecution is concerned, the Supreme Court in 1991 assumed to itself that the constitutional mandate of the president being the authority to sanction the prosecution of a judge was not adequate protection for a judge, and it required the consent of the Chief Justice of India. Now, that case actually dealt with a sanction for prosecution. That was the issue before the court. Now, not only did they interpret that the sanction for a prosecution of a judge should have been, it should be with the consent of the Chief Justice of India, a High Court judge or a Supreme Court judge, that is. But they went a stage further and they said that even an FIR, that is the starting point of an investigation, cannot be initiated without the sanction of the Chief Justice of India. So they assume powers, not only that a 5-judge bench assume powers, not only to decide when a judge should be given sanction for prosecution, that is only on the say-so of the Chief Justice in effect of India, right? But even the very initiation, the discovery of evidence, right, should be at the behest of the Chief Justice. He should be in control of the entire issue. Now, what has happened is, to be fair, the Chief Justice then, when this took place, and this is now 5 months without not even an investigation being started, forget prosecution, that's a long way down the road. Not even an investigation since that fateful day in March, but the then Chief Justice Khanna ordered a 3-judge inquiry to fortify himself about the final verdict or what the if evidence established. He had this 3-judge inquiry. That 3-judge inquiry report came after a couple of months, and it was unanimous. It was not only unanimous, it was stinging, right? That should have been the end of the matter. Now, as you pointed out, impeachment is for removal of a judge from office. It has nothing to do with prosecution. Prosecution, as per Veeraswamy's case, right, and investigation, which is much prior to prosecution, is squarely in the hands of the judiciary, right? Now, we all praise Dr. Ambedkar. My late father swore by him and said he was a legal giant. He was one of the moving spirits behind our constitution, right? I ask every judge, right? And I'm a great admirer of Dr. Ambedkar. I think he was a lawyer and a legal genius par excellence, right? He infused the constitution with constitutional values of the highest order. I ask every judge, High Court and Supreme Court judge, right? What would Dr. Ambedkar have done were he responsible for the prosecution or investigation of a judge like Justice Varma in a similar situation? And you get your answer from there. I have no doubt that the investigation would have been sanctioned on this evidence, particularly after fortified by a thorough searching inquiry of 3 judges appointed by the Chief Justice of India. I have no doubt that the prosecution, the sanction for the investigation and prosecution of a judge, now by law established by the Supreme Court, rests squarely in the hands of the Supreme Court and in particular the Chief Justice himself, right? I say that Dr. Ambedkar, were he the Chief Justice of India today, would have sanctioned that investigation, right? I think that already legislative processes for removal from office, legislative processes are already getting undermined. It's now overshadowed by
Politics.
Vice President's resignation,
Yeah.
and people have now politicized the Vice President's office. That's what happens when you leave
the moot question is, Mr.
Yes.
Jethmalani.
Yes.
Why can't there be 2 processes? People are saying, aren't you happy there's an impeachment motion in Parliament? I say I'm not happy because it does not overrule the fundamental need for a criminal accountability. Is the judiciary trying to avoid external scrutiny through a criminal accountability process? And are the politicians also willy-nilly, knowingly allowing it?
Arnab, I don't think they're allowing it. I don't think I can ascribe motives to the judiciary, but I will say this, and it may not be a popular view. I will say that the judiciary is just too slow to react in this matter.
Yeah. Too slow to react? But does that make people confident watching this? You see, isn't it a betrayal of public trust when you have so much evidence against this man? And if tomorrow somebody being sent to jail for a petty offense says, Mr. Jethmalani, can you explain to me why I am going to jail and Yashwant Varma did not even face an FIR, then what will the system tell that person?
Well, I mean, that is the inevitable fallout of this kind of delay. That, people would rather now, if this kind of action is permissible, if Justice Varma is allowed to have so much time at his disposal to avoid an investigation because of judicial and other inertia within our institutions, then people are going to say, why don't we just become judges who wants to become a lawyer?
Yes, so this creates a system of privilege. Judges are privileged in every way. Even if they commit a crime, they'll be sort of made semi-immune from the process.
That is the perception today.
But then we want to remove judicial corruption. How will we?
In the corridors of the bars, right, of this country, that is the perception. People are mealy-mouthed to come out in the open, right? Because everybody practices before judges and they're scared of the fallout on their personal...
Why is Mahesh Jethmalani not scared?
I'm not scared because I think that if somebody doesn't make a stand for this, if somebody doesn't stand up with these overwhelming circumstances, we've lost. The judiciary forever will be rooted in corruption.
Okay. I'm glad you're speaking up. That's like a chip off the old block. You remind me of your dad, who we have all loved. I thank you so much, Mahesh Jethmalani, for joining me this evening. That's great. I'm so happy people like him are talking about why there's no FIR.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिर्फ जल जीरा मसाला सिर्फ जीरा सिर्फ MDH का जल जीरा सिर्फ MDH का जल जीरा